she wouldn't just be asking that in relationship to President Obama. She'd be asking that in relationship to the state of our black and brown communities in the present day, particularly around violence and particularly around how it's unfolding. I represent Arbor Hill on the Console. That is one of our central poor people of color communities in Albany. There are a couple of other sections of the city, but Arbor Hill kind of is a stand-in, like Harlem is a stand-in. And I always say, what's going on in Arbor Hill today is a legacy of enslavement. It's like, how do you know what the present repercussions of slavery are? You look at Arbor Hill and other communities like them, because the disinvestment, the economic exploitation and lack of economic opportunity, the educational failure, and I'm not talking about individuals failing, I'm talking about the educational system failing our children. All of those things are part of the legacy of slavery, but she would also, and we would also want to know about, now what is this about young black men killing each other and killing, and sometimes young women caught in that crossfire too? What is that about? Because even someone like me wonders what it's about, because when I was growing up, I'm not saying that black people didn't kill each other, they absolutely did. It was usually in our black newspaper every week if there was something, if there was violence or crime that was reported in our newspapers as was positive, and great accomplishments reported. So I'm not saying that black people never killed each other before, it just was a pandemic. I don't know if any of you heard This American Life recently did a couple of shows about this high school in Chicago where at least a dozen black children were killed within 1 year. It was a wonderful piece. I only heard one segment of it. I'm sure you can get it online. But one of the things it talked about is that the way you get into a gang there is not because you made a conscious decision to be in a gang. It's like where your mother bought her house or rented her house. If you live in a certain place, you're an X gang. If you live in a certain other place, you're a Y gang. You don't have a choice. You are in a gang by definition of the territory that you inhabit. In Albany, we have an uptown, downtown, constant, ongoing strife and struggle. Coming from Cleveland, Ohio, I find it really, really interesting because and I moved directly from Brooklyn to Albany. I didn't move from Cleveland to Albany. But as we know, in our larger cities, Albany would be a neighborhood. It would be one neighborhood. We're less than 100,000. And yet we have, and I mentioned an article I had never forgotten in Newsweek in 1992 called Losing Ground. And a journalist was in an urban neighborhood and asked a group of young black folk, what do you hope for yourself for next year? And very many of them said, I hope to just be alive next year. That is astounding. What they were not meaning that white people were going to be killing them, which is what Harriet Tubman might have imagined. What they meant was that I'm likely to be killed in my neighborhood by intra-racial violence. I think Harriet Tubman would be appalled to come and see that a lot of the violence that we die from now is intra-racial violence.
Say, they gave cocaine to slaves. We're still doing that? Let me just, I think maybe I'll just mention two things that struck me about some of the presentations today, and you two may have some other things, and then a couple things, and then let's open it up to the audience. And I just had a really a comment of liking so much thinking about Tubman transnationally. I thought it was very important also that you mentioned to think about. And I love this idea of putting together or correlating being single and being a radical and doing revolutionary work. And it is really interesting as you go down the line with many of them doing that. her word really when she's single, or he was anti when she worked when she's single, and Ella Baker, of course. So those are just some. So you want to comment on that, and then that was a few issues. Then let's throw it over.
Let me just mention one thing. We interviewed, Janetta Cole and I interviewed Dorothy Height for Gender Talk. And one of the things I would never forget is she said over and over again, I am Miss, M-I-S-S, Dorothy Height. She really reveled in her single status. She said, did you get that? Miss Dorothy Height. And her, main role model, Bethune, was single for most of her life. I mean, she had a husband somewhere. We don't know what happened to him. But anyway, I will just never forget that. Miss Dorothy Height, she said.
Well, this is a very interesting question to me as an out black lesbian, because that's another status, that I don't know if it helps with your activism or not, but the thing is, it certainly can cause some challenges and heartaches because of the ostracizing and the demonizing that can go on within our communities. But the thing is that I'm thinking about, as I said, having just read the Ella Baker biography, Barbara Ransby makes a real point of how she never changed her name, and that many of the people who she worked with closely politically did not know she was married. It was fascinating. So even when she was with her husband, which was for some time, they did not actually know her marital status. She did not see that as relevant to what she was doing. And as I said, she kept her name at a time when virtually no one did that. She never changed her name. So I find this whole thing about single women and their marital status and other, identities as being very interesting. And one of the things that I assume you might know about this or know more about it perhaps than even I, but one of the things that one of my co-editors of Some of Us Were Great talked about was how Mary McLeod Bethune had been a battered woman. So I just found that fascinating, and as I said, they're just things to, those day-to-day things do make a difference, and yet here she was like a leader, of the race.
Some speculation actually about the nature of the partnerships that Mary McLeod Bethune was in once the husband was out of the way.
Particularly because of the Eleanor Roosevelt connection. Yeah, so they were tight, and and Eleanor Roosevelt, as we know, had relationships with women. Thanks to, Blanche Cook, we know that, and some other historians as well. So the thing is that, there's more than meets the eye. Very, very interesting.